Hey Callie, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your visual analysis draft. This is a quick reminder of what I'm looking for in this assignment. I'm looking for a thesis statement that's clear, that's focused, makes a good argument about two flood wall murals. It has strong supporting reasons, and the supporting reasons are your body paragraphs and how well they back up that thesis statement that you have. Looking for supporting details, use of details in the murals and in the writing. In the articles that we read or the documentary, are you using those details to support your paper's overall argument? And are you kind of explaining how those details support your paper's overall argument? Also looking for organization and transitions, that there's a clear pattern of how you're going between one idea and another. Looking for integration of a couple paraphrases and MLA formatting, integration of a visual in your writing, and a paragraph that has no be verbs. So that's what I'm looking for. I think with where you're at right now with your essay, I think we really need to talk about argument, and maybe we talk about supporting details. But I think right now the struggle that it seems like your paper has is it's kind of fallen into that trap where it's like then and now kind of argument, like things were different then and now they've changed with the now, and it gets to be it's an argument that's really hard to not make very repetitive, and so it's kind of hard to it's not a very persuasive argument or a strong argument. So what I noticed though in your draft is, like, originally as I was reading, I was like, oh no, Callie's going to have to kind of scrap the entire thing. There's some things that are going on in the final paragraph that makes me think that there's some ideas that you can kind of salvage out of the draft for the revision. And so I'll talk about those for just a little bit. I think as we here we go. You write about cultural change, which I think is kind of interesting. And I wonder if that might be one of the things that you could do to talk about how the murals are, what the murals might be trying to get across. So you write about the education mural showing cultural change, and I'm wondering if there's a reason why you think that the education mural does a better job at showing the cultural change, but the medicine mural doesn't focus on that at all. And if I think about that question, I'm also thinking about the last line in your draft. Dafford shows the change in our town much clearer in the progress of medicine mural. So do you think that, like, with these two murals, that Dafford's really kind of saying, hey, this is the one that's more important, that I think communicates something much more truer about the town, more authentic about the town? That the education mural is like, what, fads come and go when people are going to be asked to have education, but really what kind of matters is like the work that people do, and that doesn't change. I mean, is that kind of like where the argument is? That kind of where the argument is, and if that's the case, that is very different than things have changed, and so, which seems like what the first couple body paragraphs are kind of falling into it, like they're kind of set up to do that kind of thing. Here in this last body paragraph, I think you're kind of hinting at something that I think would require you to change some of those earlier body paragraphs, but I think would be much more interesting and much more focused. So maybe one mural is doing a better job than the other of communicating something true about the town, and maybe the other mural is just kind of showing, maybe one mural is really kind of showing this is how we've kind of responded to different fads, and kids are going to be kids and all that. But when it really kind of gets down to it, the mural that, or the message that Dafford was really trying to get across is like the work that we do, the hard work that people do, that is really kind of timeless. So that's my thought about how you might kind of complicate that thesis statement that you have. Right now, it's not going to work. how our town has changed over time, that's, oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's not, there's not much of an argument there, but I do think there's an argument in what you're talking about in the kind of the things that you're hinting at in the conclusion. Now, the way that they might get that across is through character arrangement, setting, or what have you. It might be color, but I kind of think that the things that you're going to write about are going to change because that argument is going to change a little bit. So that kind of changes things a fair bit as far as like how you're writing about the two murals. So I definitely want you to ask me some questions, and I'm not going to get into talking about organization and integrating paraphrases or anything like that, because I think right now kind of what you need to focus on is changing the argument so that it's something that's actually arguable. Right now, a thesis statement like this, there's not much of an argument of that. Like, time just changes things, and places and people change over time. There's not much to argue there. But in that final body paragraph, there is something to argue there, and that's where I think that you might need to look to find a thesis statement to center the paper on. So if you have any questions about that, do please let me know, because I think this could be a really interesting paper, but right now the way it's set up, and I see you hinting in a couple places at a more interesting argument. We've talked about this when we were out at the Floodwall murals. You know, education is seen as kind of like recreation or something like that. But what, the progress of medicine, that's where real work is done or something like that. And we've talked about that a little bit. I see you hinting at that idea in places, but right now I think setting up a paper to say things change over time, it's not going to cut it. So, quick summary of where I think you are right now. I'm not sure about the paper's overall argument, and I'm not sure what it is. Again, that final paragraph hints at something really kind of interesting. The then and now argument, it runs out of steam pretty quickly, and it seems like you're hinting at really interesting ideas in the last paragraph. I do think you should organize paragraphs based on how the two murals convey that message, but you definitely do need to rethink what that message is. What they'll then be looking for, once you have an argument that's much more focused and arguable, I'll be looking at your ability to kind of making sure that all your details and your writing in that paragraph are all related to that argument, that they're all helping you support that argument. All right, Callie, that's a lot. Probably not news that you wanted to hear, but I do think that you've got something interesting here to work with, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the revision goes. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you soon.